um, as we begin this new year is Vision 2024. And we have someone with us who will take us through what's a vision and what's our vision individually and what's just you'll see she is prepared to journey with us through just understanding and clarifying our vision for 2024 and helping us to achieve those visions. Her name is Yanique Griffiths, and she is the founder and principal of Vision Project Consulting and Vision Hill. She's a certified life coach who, through various modalities, journeys with people to cast and build visions that are aligned with their essence and purpose. She challenges the indices of success while releasing hidden potential and inaugurating lifestyles that are passionate, purposeful, and intentional. Yanique is a committed woman of God. So, you know, what I read just now is what she does, just a little of what she does. This is from the professional side. But who she is, she's a committed woman of God. She's a pastor's wife. So she identifies with this group very much. And so she can uh being able to identify with us, she's able to help us in this matter of vision um, even more so. She's married to, she's a pastor's wife. She's married to the Reverend Dr. Richard Griffiths, Bronx Bethany Church of the Nazarene and the Vine Church of the Nazarene in New York. She is a dedicated mother of two who make every day an adventure. There's a lot more that I can say about Yanique. But she is very modest. She's a humble lady so she doesn't want too much to be said. So I will leave it at that. That she's equipped to help us with this matter of vision, and that she is a woman of God, so she identifies with us and she identifies as a pastor's wife also. So welcome, Yanique. We are excited that you're here with us, and we look forward to seeing and to just being taken on this journey regarding Vision 2024.
Thank you, Auntie Angie. Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing this space with me and each other. It is extremely important and necessary. It's not my first time on. And I will say that if it wasn't for other obligations, I would be on every month. I am excited about the ways in which God will speak to us. My line of work usually asks that I assist others, whether it is within the school context, whether it is as a life coach, or even in organizations, is help people with coming into alignment with an intentional, powerful, and focused perspective. Now, for us as women who are committed to Christ, we know that whatever perspective that we are aligning ourselves with is always God-centered and God-honoring. Now, I help people reignite their aspirations, unearth their challenges and hindrances, and also help them with self-discoveries and essence affirmations. So what are our goals for today? We want to make sure that we are on the same page in terms of expectation and outcome. Our goals today really is to begin to identify what are the differences between dreams, visions, goals, intentions. It is to give us today a thought or to begin to think clearly about the steps that we would take in aligning ourselves with God's vision for us as well as the world. Yeah. So the world encompasses, the simple home. It encompasses our community, the church, where we spend most of our time, as well as the world at large, right? And we are going to do that through a series of steps. So, whenever we're casting vision, one of the things that we want to think about, the very first thing that we want to think about or explore is simply doing a rough design or draft of our dream. So, this is really starting, I would say, more so kind of raw and uninformed. If you were to just simply let your mind take you to wherever about whatever it is that you would like. What are the things that come up for you at this stage? If I'm just thinking about some things, it's always easy. Jamaica comes to mind, a warmer climate comes to mind. I always think about, my family's salvation. There are just a few things that come up for me when I think roughly about what are some of my desires, right? So we're going to talk a little briefly about some of our desires. Then the second stage is called the mining stage. The mining stage is where we go in, we dig and extract in order to unearth value. Now, one of the things that happens sometimes for us when we are thinking about moving forward with the plans that are in our hearts, the plans that God has laid on our hearts, the desires that we have, the vision that we have for the world, what happens is that sometimes there are some things that have happened in our past that really are proving to be hindrances. So there is the limiting beliefs or the negative experiences that has caused us to become afraid of moving forward with what God has shared with us for his people as well as for us, right? So we go a little bit into our childhood and we do some exploration there to think about what are some of the experiences that we've had that has kind of caused us to become limited in our thinking and our beliefs. Now, I always ask that people are as transparent as they can be, so that you are able to really counter the negative self-talk or the negative thoughts with scripture and affirmation. So you want to be as direct as possible. Then we move into surveying. So we take a very comprehensive view of who we are and begin to appraise ourselves, right? So this is where we are looking to see what our strengths are, what our values are, and what are some of our preferred roles. Now, for most of us, we've kind of like inherited the first lady role. It might be preferred for some, it might not be for others. It could be stressful for some, and it could be exhilarating for others. But we are going to think about what roles we have that we can't even take them off, and what roles we'd like to even transition into, and see how best we can begin to kind of outfit the life that we'd like for ourselves. And then we're going to move into framing. And this is where we begin to form structure. This is where we start to refine our visions. This is where we are giving ourselves the time, whether through prayer, fasting, reading, to think about what it is that we really want so that we are aligned with Christ and not moving forward based on flawed indices or a false perception of what we should want. Because many times, whether it's in our role or whether it's what we've heard as a child, we kind of believe that the pursuits that we have should be X, Y, or Z. You're going to be a lawyer, or you're going to be a teacher, or you have to be the women's ministry leader if you're a pastor's wife, or you should wear a hat, or you should dress a particular way. We want to move away from the flawed indices of success, so we're going to spend time framing. So what I will do is condense it so that we are staying on task and on time. We're going to be discussing some keywords or terms as it relates to and vision casting. Now, before we move into the activity, it can be that we get a little bit distracted. We're either distracted by the phones, we're distracted by what's happening in our space. So I wanted us to just take 1 minute to set an intention for the rest of the session, right? So we started off just briefly with introductions, but I'd like for us to just plant our feet flat on the ground, place our hands on our thighs, and take a deep breath and really just invite God into this process. Ask Him to take you to where you would like to be, take you to the discovery that you would like to make, take you to the term or place or experience that you'd like to have in 2024. Now, there are 4 key terms that are on your screen. The first of which is intention. The second is dream. The third is vision. The fourth is goal. Now, sometimes these words are used interchangeably, but they are very different. So I just wanted us together to talk through these 4 words that are used interchangeably, but that can be very, very different. So the first is intention, second dream, the third vision, and the fourth goal. Now, an intention is to have in mind something to be done, right? Something that you want to do. An intention also could be something that has meaning or significance, the particular meaning or significance. Now, I can have an intention to call Sister Jennifer, but it doesn't necessarily mean that I will act on it. My intent is to call, or my intent is to correct, but the person might not necessarily receive the correction in the way that I intended. My intent was to be helpful, but they saw it probably more as critique, right? So what we intend to do, we don't always execute, and sometimes our intention might not be understood on the first go. And then a dream really is to think of or to conceive something in a very abstract way. So for me, I have dreams all the time. I'm always dreaming of having like nice food. Whenever I pass restaurants, I'm sometimes dreaming that my kids will pick up after themselves before I get home. I'm dreaming, I'm perceiving things or thinking up things that are very abstract and in my mind all the time. And then the vision really is the act or power of anticipating what is to come. So I'm dreaming of something, and it might not necessarily mean that I am certain that it will happen. The vision, however, is the act or power of anticipating what is to come. So that is holding it at all times with the expectation that it will happen. Yeah?
Yeah.
And then the goal is, the aim or object towards which an endeavor is directed. So your goal can be directed towards your vision, right? The goal can sometimes even be directed towards the intention. Now, I'd like to make key distinctions here. In Habakkuk 2, it talks about writing the vision, making it plain, right? We are all kind of like familiar with that scripture verse. Write down the vision, make it plain, write it on tablets so that the herald may run with it. For the revelation awaits an appointed time, and so on and so forth. Now, the what I got from that verse is that there is an implication for a vision, whereas when you have a vision, it impacts the generations that are coming afterwards, right? So I can have a dream, and my dream can be solely selfish. I can dream of a nice house. I can dream of a very nice vacation, and that is me centered and me focused. The vision, however, usually has implications for other people. Usually it is so big, or it is such that you would have to also enlist other people into that vision, right? So it's very interesting to me that Dr. Martin Luther King said, I have a dream, when in truth, it was more so fitting for a vision, in my estimation. He's dreaming of a state of being for all of America that includes a change of heart and mind and active participation for all. Make sense?
Yes.
Now, one of the stories that I really like, that I think embodies a vision. A vision is usually something that is God-sized. It cannot be accomplished on your own, and it is something that will positively change the church community, the world, your family. It's Nehemiah. Every time I think about Nehemiah and him going to restore and rebuild the wall, on verse 2:5, I believe, when he's asking the king, and he said, you know, I want to go back to Judah, where my ancestors are buried, so that I can rebuild it. There we have a um, we see where there is the impact in the lineage. So this is something that, one, it has been something that the line before was charged to do. Then he's running his leg. And because he's going to run his leg, then there is implications, of course, for the generations to come. In running his leg, we saw where he was rebuilding the wall, and he enlisted the families. He said, hey, the perfumers are going to build this piece. Hey, you are going to build the sheep gate. This set is going to be where, or serve as military. And that's the beauty, I think, of vision. Sometimes, I get very frustrated, especially in my generation. Everybody's vision boarding, everybody's talking about, I have a vision, and it really is self-serving. When God gives you a vision, it always has implications for those around you, for those to come. Now, one of the challenges that we might face is that, we are always giving, we are always serving, we're giving to our families. Ministry requires a particular energy level or engagement. We are, some of us, in the workplace, and it can seem as though, what's in it for me, right? So I'm having this vision, and my vision has to include everybody else, and it has to be this weighty thing where it has implications. Now, the truth is, whenever we are aligning our purposes with God's will for our life, what happens is there is an aspect of that that is going to be requiring service, requiring something larger. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that we are not able, or we are not able to bring our desires to God to say, hey, this is something that I would like for myself, and that He will not honor that or give that to us, even if we should pursue it. So it is a twofold thing where we are, holding in tandem all the dreams and desires that we have for ourselves, right? and taking care of our well-being, self-care, even some of our aspirations. But then in the next hand, it is saying, God, how would you like for me to serve your people at this time? Yeah, makes sense?
I
Oh,
think God honors both, you know.
yes.
Um, it's not like separate, like my dreams and things are over here, and serving or impacting others are, that's over here. I think God brings them together, and we should not feel guilty or bad if about the fact that when we are experience one or the other at any particular time, if that's how it is working out. Yeah.
I agree with that. So, I am just gonna ask that we do one exercise and then I'll wrap up here. Uh, I wanted to do a journal prompt, right? So we have the intention all the time of, creating an aesthetic or a way that we would like to live. But there are so many times that many things get in the way, many responsibilities, many roles get in the way. And we are not always able to embody fully who we would like to be or become. So I am going to ask that we actually do right, ladies. I would love for us to respond to this question. Who am I uninterrupted? So who am I without the role of First Lady? Who am I without being mom? Who am I without being sister? Who am I without being the daughter who has to care for an ailing parent? Just who are you uninterrupted? There are no responsibilities, just who am I? If you believe that one big thing that defines you is an experience you had in the past or something you knew of yourself then, of course, be free. It could be forward thinking too. Who do I want to become if there were absolutely no limitations? And it could be what traits, what gifts, what do I embody right now? Um, that sometimes I might not share or show. Yeah, so think about it, whether it's now, in the past, or future. We are often just kind of we wear so many garbs or robes or masks based on who we are, based on our family history, based on how we would like to be perceived. But whenever we are stepping into the full embodiment of how God has made us, it's like there are some things that we cannot even move away from or have laid dormant forever. So now this piece where, justice is concerned is now emerging as you are transitioning through different roles. And even though you're thinking, oh, here is my profession that might require kind of like more of a neutral stance, you can't ignore it. Right. And we know that God is a God of justice. And
Yeah.
if we are truly to be beacons of light in the world, we now sometimes we might have our people's perception of us and so on. So I am going to just briefly wrap up, but the exercise of who am I uninterrupted is really very important, and I'd love for you all to continue to develop that even after our meeting time. And I'm going to just share what I'll talk about next time. And so you have an idea of where we are going. Does that make sense? Yeah. So as we think about who we are uninterrupted, that gives us kind of a vision of who we'd like to become and who we are at our core. So I'd love for you to delve into that. Now, after you've written who you are uninterrupted, what you'll find is that for some parts of it, you might not be fully embodying that. And we often don't embody fully who we are based on our insecurities, based on distractions, based on our limitations, right? So one insecurity could be, you know, I who you are uninterrupted is, I don't know, who you are uninterrupted is an excellent singer, right? Let's say you do have the gift of singing, but you just don't do it, right? One insecurity could be, you know, I'm not Yolanda Adams, so I'm not gonna go and sing, right? I don't have, you know, a particular type of voice or a particular type of look. One distraction could be, you could be very much distracted by, let's say, you could be distracted by your thoughts. You could be distracted by some of your roles or responsibilities. You might not necessarily have to always do all of the things that you do. And you might have certain limitations. And sometimes the limitations that you have, they can be very legitimate or they can be very self-imposed. We just use those limitations and impose them because we do not want to move forward because we're stuck. So after you've done who you are uninterrupted, I'd love for you to think about your insecurities, distractions, and limitations. And then we can talk through that. And then next time we might do a little bit more sharing, so unmasking, where we're going to think through some pivotal earthquake moments, like one or two experiences that we've had that sent us a negative message, right? And then what limiting belief was formed. So we're going to talk through some of that next time, so that we can begin to kind of shift our thoughts, the negative thoughts that we have, and affirm with scripture. Um, and that is all I have for this evening. Thank you all for your time and patience and engagement.